Hello and good evening. Thursday, March 30th, 2023. We have watched Star Trek Picard Season 3, Episode 7, titled Dominion. But we're just getting started here on Live Long and Podcast for our breakdown of this episode. My name is Dave Mader, and I'm coming in here. I was away for a week on vacation, so I am catching up on a little bit with these guys with Episode 6 and 7 in my case, but they were here last week talking about that. We got Adam Woodward with us tonight.
Hey Dave, I was away last week too, so I watched it last night, so I'm caught up myself. So
good. So we can have a good conversation here, and of course we have with us my cousin and yours, Davan Skelhorn.
Look at that empty chair.
Get it a drink, I think, but you can get a better look at his hero clicks than you normally would without him there. So he'll be back shortly. Spoilers alert. We will be talking about this episode, fully breaking it down. If you don't want to know, get out here. We've assumed you've seen the episode so far. We are reacting to it the day it came out here. And okay. So Adam, we're catching up on two episodes in our case. Last week's episode being The Bounty, where Geordi comes into the story, and not just Geordi, but is also his other daughter, played by his real daughter, Mika Burden. And there's now, Brent Spiner in the form of this new data lore was introduced that they picked up.
It was a heavy episode we missed, Dave.
Yeah, it was a heavy episode. This one, less happened in this particular episode 7. How you Davan, welcome. Yeah. How you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm making it. We'll make it.
We'll make it rain.
It's a bold frontier out there, but we'll explore it all here.
Yeah. And Adam and I, because we were away for the last 2 weeks or last week, so we were on the podcast. We're catching up on 2 episodes in some ways. I know you were on here with Murphy and Geordi last week, talking about episode 6, The Bounty, which I think you guys all really liked. You gave it a combined 9.3 rating, so not too bad. What was your rating for that, actually, Adam?
I'm going to give it a 9 as well. I mean, we got everybody back now, I guess. We're just waiting for
very little Deanna.
Very little Deanna.
She was there though. She was in it.
Has it? We might see Tasha.
I think we've had more of Sydney LaForge than we've had of Deanna Troi.
We have,
but I like Sydney LaForge.
I like her too. I think we've had more of that Vulcan lady on the bridge. Who I don't know if she has a name yet, but
her.
So I don't know.
This gives looks. She's like.
Yes, right. Nod, not a straight nod. But listen, we also had Worf and Raffi show up last week on the ship. So, I mean, it was...
Right. There was so much that happened in these 2 episodes. It's like we watched a movie here, but it's like to be continued with a dark cliffhanger. At the end of this episode, Dominion, and just on this episode, which we're trying to, focus on as well, is, a lot with like backstory, reveal and exposition around Amanda Plummer's character in Vadic. And we learned a lot more about what kind of a changeling she is and how she came to be that and whatever else.
It was a lot better for me.
I liked it. I liked her performance a lot. It was really good. She really took that dialogue and really made it work, and just the trauma and the pain and the anger and the hatred and everything else that she was kind of portraying in all of and I'm finding Vadic a more sympathetic character.
She is living up to the Plummer name for sure, as far as great act. But Dave, I found tonight's episode. I just watched it, just finished 15 minutes ago, and I need to go back and do it again. It was. Yes. There was a lot there. I need to figure some things out because it went quickly, and I was like, "What the heck's happening here?"
I think I watched it. Basically, I watched it 3 times today. I watched it once in the morning, and then I did the screenshots at lunch, and then I watched it again with Jane this afternoon. And there was a lot actually, even though it's mostly it's almost like a bottle episode in some ways. There's not a ton that going on, but I thought it was. There's some nuance to it. I have my issues here. I have some nitpicks.
Say that every episode.
I know.
It's okay. I look forward to Dave's nitpicks.
Dave won't let himself love Picard. He was hurt too badly by the
previous seasons. Yes.
It doesn't matter what happens. They can give him everything he wants on a silver platter this season. He's gonna be like, look, I liked it, but I've had some issues.
Yeah, but Davan, we've gone now. What's this? Today was the 7th episode, and they're still very, very strong. So
it's still strong.
Yeah,
it's
man.
like this is normally the part of the season where we're like, can they just get on with it already? But and get to the point of it all. But this has worked much better this season. The pacing and the story.
This was the episode I needed to care at all about these changelings, because I didn't. And I love everything about Deep Space Nine, but like I didn't really care about these changelings. They were just like a splinter group.
Yeah, a splinter group that looked like kind of
now we get
weird, but
like you said, they're sympathetic now.
They're sympathetic.
Damn you, Federation, and your needles and such.
But it was really Section 31 that developed. It was Section 31 who developed the original virus and cure, but Starfleet and the Federation did decide not to give the cure to the founders during the war.
He tortured them, these particular changelings. That was the Daystrom Institute.
Yes. Well, the question I was wondering, was this Starfleet proper? Was this Section 31? It doesn't seem like a very Federation thing to do.
And in a state of war and trying to win the war, was it warranted?
Hey, I thought you were Nova Scotia.
Murphy, your mic's still screwed up.
Is it doing weird things?
Yeah, it's doing the. Anyway, Chris, the Worldwide Murphy, with us. I thought he was in Nova Scotia. I guess he's back.
He was there for like a few days, just a few days
in the homeland.
In the homeland, yeah.
So catching up just on the previous episode. Of course, Brent Spiner's back in the form of this new data lore, which is really explored more. So in this episode, in the last episode, he didn't say that much. He was kind of.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm. So he's playing four different versions of himself,
but really 2.
See, that's the question I have. So they say in this episode 4 that it's data lore, Sung, and B4, but didn't in the previous episode he say there's some lol in there too?
Yes, they mentioned lol and a couple.
Totally forgot about lol this episode. There's like, no, there's no lol. There's these.
Yeah, but there's only 12 hours of lol. I mean, lol didn't live very long, so
and Data already had.
She was a wonderful person. I wanted to see more lol.
But I think lol is there, but like just how like they explain in this episode that B4 and I guess one of the Soongs are like a read only or their memories only.
Yeah, like a memory file.
And Data already had lol's memories, from when she died, right before she died. He downloaded all those memories anyway. So it's really they're like, we're not giving them 4 personalities. We're only going to give them 2 personalities. But
that's good. I mean, we can only handle 2 an episode. So
yeah. And apparently, like the goal, like what they say in this episode is the goal is for these 2 to like integrate eventually. I'm not too keen on that. I don't know what a Data lore integrated personality is going to be. It's going to
be a sarcastic Data.
He'll just be Brent Spiner at that point.
He'll be Noonien Soong. Remember, that's how he was. He was like sort of like just a snarky, selfish Data, kind of.
Right. But is that Data anymore? Is it just lore?
No, it's Data lore, like you said.
Data lore, like the episode.
It's pretty amazing. Like as these guys, as the actors age, though, Brent Spiner has kept the voice very, almost like it was 30 years ago.
Well, he's been doing this for 30 years, so he's
when he turns into Data, it's spooky.
Yeah,
actually,
like how he
switches
between
their
the
voices
2, and how he can do certain things with his facial expressions. And exactly. Oh, that's lore. Oh, that's Data. Just like he doesn't.
He's a good actor.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. We got the recap. We also found out in the last episode that Picard's corpse that he died in was stolen. I hope he's here when I have to go.
I'll be talking to myself. I'll talk to myself.
Yeah. So there he is.
I'm glad you brought that up, Dave. Don't you think that the people who made Picard season 2 and even season 1, perhaps you could argue, never should have had their hands on this, because we have this beautiful season here in season 3, but this whole synth Picard thing that was dumb anyway just cheapens this whole thing.
Well,
this great reunion.
You wish they did.
It's not even Picard. Don't talk about this thing.
We can have a whole. I think we can have a whole podcast just about like the philosophical, metaphysical questions around, is this Picard the positronic Picard that we know in season 2 and 3, not the same person? I would argue not. But
don't die.
I remembered that in like the early part of the season, and then conveniently forgot it until recently. So I was disappointed last week.
You're lucky.
Yeah.
Because they brought it up again. It's like, oh, why did you bring it
Yeah,
up?
as soon as like last week and there's a humanoid and I go, don't tell me. And sure enough, there it
Well,
was.
I thought it was kind of an interesting choice. I thought like if you're like it is what it is. So like if they're this plan, but I think that what it gets explained to us in this episode with how well we need Jack Crusher's blood in order to make our fake clone or something
Super
work.
Picard.
Yeah, Super Picard. I was like, this doesn't make a lot of sense. Like, none of it really does, and maybe shouldn't. But yeah, there's a bit of a different.
They want a fake Picard to like destroy this colony or whatever.
Because he was supposed to make a
Federation
speech,
Day or
and
whatever.
so I guess like this evil Picard is going to make the worst speech ever, or he's going to, I don't know what the plan is, but that seems to be where it's headed. He's going to say down with the Federation or something. Boo.
I feel like that's still gonna happen. I think fake Picard's still gonna make this crazy speech, and we're all just gonna be like, "What?"
Yeah.
And then
Am I
the
blowing up
series will
this
end.
time?
No, you're okay now.
Okay,
better
cool.
now.
Yeah, I was kind of the whole he needs DNA, he needs the son's DNA. I'm like, why do you need the son's DNA if you already have the corpse? It doesn't make
To make a
lot of
perfect
sense.
copy.
To make
Yeah,
a
they said that.
perfect
They said
copy.
if you have a relative's DNA as well, yeah, you can make a perfect copy. Chintaka.
Okay, yeah. So I started to watch this episode this morning, and I said to Davan, I'm like, you're gonna like flip in like the first 5 seconds. This is what I was referring to, Shintaka, because I was like, this is where the at least two major battles during the Dominion War took place. The first and second battle, Shintaka, featured heavily on Deep Space Nine, season 7, I think. If I'm correct, or maybe
the first battle of Chintaka is like season 5.
No, we haven't had it on Deep Space Nine podcast yet, so we're
Okay.
almost done season 6. So it might be like the last episode of season 6 is the first battle, because I think they win a battle and then they lose the second battle, right? Where the original Defiant was destroyed. Coming back to last episode where we saw that the Defiant was in the Fleet Museum, but that's really the Sao Paulo that was renamed the Defiant, just kind of for the tail end of season 7. Like the original Defiant's gone, but. Who's counting? And then we started hearing this voice, Center of 9, to start this episode off. Is talking, and I was just like, I know this voice. Who is this voice? But I couldn't place it. And then we get the reveal.
My boy,
see this man,
Tim Russ.
boy Tuvok.
Yeah,
My
he has
favorite Vulcan ever.
First time playing Tuvok live action since 2001. So it's pretty exciting stuff.
But was it
exciting.
It
Tuvok?
wasn't Tuvok. Well, that's the reveal, because they have this conversation back and forth where they're doing their little like voice
analysis.
Yeah, that's what you don't need blood screens if you have the voice analysis. And she's like the Vulcan lady, science officer. She's like, I'm pretty sure it's the real Tuvok. I don't know how. I think they need to get a better voice scanner. This seems like not a great technology, but assuming that. We can assume that the form that this changeling has taken in the form of Tuvok is correct. He's a captain now. I wonder of what, a ship or something else. So we'll see if that gets explained.
He looks like to be a captain of a very dark room.
Very dark.
Another ship.
Yeah.
No, there has to be a ship. Yeah, they don't have lights.
They discuss Admiral Janeway, and she's getting ready for a Frontier Day. Yeah, we see the inconclusive here, and she starts saying like, this is like a house of cards, not like our games of Calto. And Tuvok says, well, you always beat me in Calto, and she's like, that's right, I know that. You're only the real Tuvok
would know that. Yeah.
Energy theme.
Yeah, they play the Voyager theme too. I was like, it is Tuvok, and then they rip it away from us.
There goes your mic, Murphy. It only ever lasts a minute or two. Yeah.
But okay, this is my first nitpick number 1, guys. She says, because she says, oh, let's meet on this planet somewhere. Because and whatever, and he says fine, and wherever you want to meet. And she's like, a Vulcan would never go to that planet. That's where they had the anti-Kolinar demonstrations. And I'm like, anti-Kolinar demonstrations. Kolinar is like this Vulcan, like super serious, like interdiscipline thing, like you do as like when you want to get to like this next level of enlightenment.
Yes,
we saw it in Star Trek 1. Well, that's what Spock was doing, and then he got rejected. Remember that she gives him like the little mind meld in Star Trek the motion picture, and then
then
like,
she
she's
throws the medallion on the floor. And,
yeah, she's like, "You're not Kolinar. You're not Kolinar enough." So I was like, "What? Why would any planet protest Kolinar? Like that's like protesting Buddhist monks somewhere. Like it's just like a silly kind of a thing." But
it's a bit strange, but it was a very 7 of 9 thing. Like I think one of my not even beefs, but I've like she's evolved as a character. She's not really 7 of 9 anymore.
Not
She's
the one
very
we
much
knew.
more
Yeah,
Annika Hansen. But that's a very 7 thing to do because it's like so specific that only she would ever think to ask such a thing. But that's why it was like the perfect thing.
Right.
Because it's like
so this interrogation go back and
obscure.
forth, and then of course Tuvok smiling. That's not
Smirk.
Tuvok. You got the smirk, we're being traced. Geordi's on the go here. I was like having Geordi here is just such a joy. It just every
Can we go back to Tuvok? I don't remember his ears being that big.
No, that actually you're correct.
Definitely different.
Those ears are a little bit more pronounced.
They get bigger as they age.
Yeah, maybe they get bigger. He's already like 200 years
humans
old,
too,
isn't he?
Humans too,
or like 100. He's like 150 years old.
Oh yeah,
yeah. He's pretty old.
Like he was like 114 or something when he got back into Starfleet, I think.
Right, and I think like
or 90.
Janeway gets him a birthday cake at one point, and she's like, "What is this like? Triple digits now or whatever?" So he's up there. And so, there's all this kind of tension. What have you done with the real Tuvok? Only Tuvok would know about our Calto. And he's like, it doesn't matter. We're gonna kill you all. When you're done with him. There's also, and they say, what happened to Riker? We know you have Riker. And we see this a Tuvok changeling turn into a Riker changeling, but he's like a dead Riker changeling. This was a great moment too. I never thought I would see Tuvok turn into Riker.
He looks very beat up for sure. He's being definitely tortured.
Yeah.
Well,
so I guess
make it pretty clear that they're torturing Tuvok pretty good too.
Yes. They're like, we want to know about the Calto. Tell us, we're gonna torture you until you tell us all about your Calto games with 7. I'm like, okay, we know that Vulcans can succumb, so the connection is lost. And Geordi says, maybe we just have to face it. I was like, face what? We're on our own. We can't. There's no one to turn to. There's no help. We're not gonna be able to call on the cavalry. It seems like everywhere we turn, it's another changeling. It seems like can't trust anybody other than the people we have. Love this grand reunion of all the characters from all the years. I'm sure this must be such a pleasure for all of them. I think so. Yeah, like I'm enjoying it. Like, and you can definitely feel that. So that's the teaser coming into the episode.
Sorry, Dave. One thing that was kind of cool about last week. Sorry, guys, we have to go back for a second. Is that whole Geordi, I can't help you, and then the daughter Sydney actually saying, you're what happened to family, and we're your family. No, the crew's my family. I'm part of this. I love that. I love that shaming Geordi into actually helping again.
Yeah, well, I think that was my biggest problem with last week's episode was I thought the way they wrote Geordi was a little weird in terms of this conflict he had with Sydney. I thought it was didn't make a lot of sense to me that he would care that she's.
That gets explained this episode.
Both of Geordi's parents were Starfleet officers in their own right, and his dad was a zoologist, his mom was a Starfleet captain who did get killed. So maybe you can say that's why, don't go in the command division. LaForges don't do well in red. We're better in yellow or blue. We don't go command. But like he was okay with his other daughters in Starfleet too. They just work at the museum or whatever, building ships, and that's fine too. But Geordi started off as a pilot, just like Sydney. So I just find it.
I get it though, man. When you have kids, you have a kid. It's different. Like you can. I'd send 10,000 crews into battle before I'd send my own daughter. Like,
yeah, fair enough. But like, I don't know. We haven't seen Geordi as a father yet, too. So this is a different Geordi, So I guess I gotta.
Who's the mom
there? It's got to be Leah Brahms, right?
Gotta be.
Because in all good things, like they kind of say that he married Leah Brahms, which I think is kind of weird, but it is what it is.
That'd be too.
And like they had the same kids' names, like Sydney and what's the other one? Mika Burton. I can't remember who she's playing, but she's
crap. I forget, but yeah, same names. You're right.
Yeah, guys. Can I just duck out for a minute, and I have to
I
go over
got
to our sister channel or brother channel. I don't know which one it is. The Super Mater Brothers podcasting, because Big Brother Canada 11 tonight had a very explosive episode. I have to go talk to Jaemeel and Foster right now. I'll be back shortly.
We'll be here.
Nothing
Here.
explodes in this episode. He's got to go. Nothing
Davin, can you
explodes
pull
in
up the
Picard.
screenshots?
Murphy, your mic is killing me, bud. All right. Robot Murphy.
Do you know? So do you know how to pull up the screenshots here?
These ones?
Yes, those ones. But
You
you probably
betcha.
did it. Do it. Okay,
Oh, yeah,
I'll be right back.
How's it now?
Yeah,
It's good.
Better. That's
Better.
good.
good. You're a little too close to it, that's for sure. You're
That's
basically, like,
fine.
8 inches
You can be
away.
close to it. Okay, be right back.
All right.
Right. Later. All right. Well, no, he took his things with him.
Oh, he did take his things with him, didn't he? Did he? He didn't. No, he didn't entirely.
There they are.
To the
They're back.
stream. Click. Let's see.
Yeah, where were we? We're moving.
Oh, wait. You know what? These
This
might
is
be my
flashback
slides. Yeah, this is from
Oh.
last week, actually. These are my
Oh, yeah,
slides.
he took his with him. All right, get rid of
Oh, no. Womp womp.
these. Well, how about you want to pop over to Big Brother and tell him he took our slides away?
Well,
Let's talk about the episode.
We can talk about the episode. We don't need this.
Let's
slide.
just
Yeah, I
talk
think we can
about
talk
the
about the
episode
episode.
here.
All right. So
Let's
we got
see.
as far as Tuvok and not being Tuvok.
Tuvok's
Which,
not
you know,
Tuvok. And
I was a
then
little disappointed.
he's in 2 episodes this season. We
So
might still get real Tuvok.
So we're gonna
Or it
get
might
beat
just
up
be the fake
Tuvok.
one
You're
again.
gonna say.
Rescued Tuvok. Sweet. I like
But why
it.
would he? Yeah, like why would we see fake Tuvok again? Why would he keep pretending to be Tuvok in front of them? Like, I don't know. I think it might be real Tuvok.
Actually, if
No.
he's going to Frontier Day, you're gonna get fake Tuvok. For Janeway. I mean, assuming Janeway is not a changeling.
I feel like Janeway's on the lam right now. She's sort of like in the clouds, trying to find her moment to strike. She caught on wind of it and is doing her Janeway thing, where she's always seemingly by herself in the middle of some wacky mission.
Janeway is a crazy fugitive from justice. No, she's like no, but she's crazy, man. Janeway will go off on her own, no problem. She likes it that way. She has guilt issues, so she doesn't like putting people in danger either.
Yeah, but you know what? As this season goes on, and you're getting closer and closer to the end, and we're finding it more and more about how involved this conspiracy is, and I don't know, whatever you want to say, but the
Higher levels of Starfleet, they say
the
they caught a
amount
bunch
of people that
before
are
too.
involved and how many ships are involved, and
Yeah.
how if they're saying all of the ships are in the Sol system, what the heck? That's a bad plan.
Yeah, like why would you get all your eggs in one basket? That's
I
rule
know,
number
that-
one of like.
Did you remember
Sun Tzu.
Wolf 359? That was like a bad decision.
That might be the one plot hole in this season, I think, for me.
There's a lot of
It's
plot
just like,
holes. in this
how is that their
episode.
plan? But here's the thing, though. That's going to be explained. It's going to be a changeling that put that whole plan together. Like, because there's changelings in the Admiralty.
Yes.
Like most of all the switcheroos they did are going to be like captains and admirals. They're just like infecting the higher ranks of Starfleet, which was kind of their plan during the Dominion War. But they never quite made it happen. They just threatened it, like when he was Chief O'Brien. She's like, "How many changelings do you think there are on Earth?" It's like there's only 4 or whatever he tells them. So, yeah.
Well, generally, no plot of this episode.
Listen to your mic,
we
Murphy.
went From. Oh my god, again.
You gotta fix this before Wednesday. We're not doing this again.
Saturday.
Andre said I sounded like a bully during the spy episode for yelling at you about your mic constantly.
All right, how about now?
Yeah, it'll be fine for the next 45 seconds.
Yeah, well, I think it's like if I stop anyway. The episode here, we went from like Voyager and Tuvok, that little like Voyager hook, to trying to figure out okay, what's Vadic's plan. So they went to see
Well, they
and
put a
talk to
trace on
Data,
them,
right?
and Geordi's just like, I'm running out of like scrap yards to hide us in. He's just bouncing them around the different like debris fields and scrap yards. And it's funny though, he's like got so removed from Starfleet, he's just like, I'm just gonna run the museum. Can't handle all this stuff anymore.
Yeah, he just wants to play with his ships.
He wants to play with the ships.
The museum was very cool, by the way, last week as well. I gotta say that was neat to see the ships.
So good.
You know,
Yeah, you got to back away from your Mike Murphy because we're just hearing every breath you take. Yeah, 8 inches always. You got to be able to breathe in range. So then they put a trace on him, and then Jack wants to talk to Jean-Luc, and Jack's just like, I'm not worth it. We're all just gonna die, and I kind of maybe suck anyway because he has this telepathic moment with Sydney earlier in the turbo,
which was the worst moment in the whole episode.
This is where, Murphy, I said at the beginning of this podcast tonight, I got a little confused, and there it was. It was that, and then the other scene when they, the red eyes between the two of them and like the connection, and that's where
what's going on with him. What is it though?
Yeah, but what's going on with her? Autonomy. What's going on with
nothing's going on with her. What do you mean?
Well, what's the connection? Why can he just? Yeah. Anyway, we'll see what happens.
He can do that to anybody. He could do that to anybody, but he just likes her, and she likes him.
Oh, are you talking about also that scene where is he looking at me? Is he looking at me?
Yeah, exactly. That's the scene I'm talking about. Yeah, and then she's just like, touch my hand, and then he does. And she's like, why did you do that?
Okay, I'm with you on that. I didn't enjoy that scene.
There was a lot of
you guys, young love.
I personally
Come on,
enjoy.
Young. Okay, you're right. I'm an old grumpy old man over 50. So,
and I find it funny that because Geordi's gonna hate this. He even tells him last episode, "Stay away from my daughter," because he's like he doesn't like Picard's bullshit anymore anyway. And Jack's like an even worse version, really, as far as getting into trouble and shit. She's like, stay away from my daughter. You're not taking her around the galaxy, like risking her life constantly. But yeah. So then so they have their moment there, a little telepathic moment, and that's why Jack's talking to Jean-Luc. He's just like, I'm always, there's always been something off about me. I don't know what it is. And Jean-Luc's like, well, we're not going to give up on you because I think I have a plan. All of a sudden, Jean-Luc has the plan. He's just like, we can lure Vadic in. And then they do that, and the Shrike shows up, and they basically pretending to be adrift. And they even make it
fire overlord.
There goes your mic again. See what I have to deal with, Adam? That's why I ended up sounding like a bully. But
I listen. I think Jody spoke to me that way one night, so it's okay. We're good.
Jody speaks to me like that all the time.
Well, when your equipment fails, you got to know. I just, you don't.
Exactly.
It's hard. I can't monitor it. I have no feedback from my end, so if it goes out,
then we got to tell you.
Messing up. You've got some issues there, and it's going to be a problem Wednesday unless you get a crappy mic or something before then. That'll fix it.
I don't know if it's the mic or my interface at this point. It's driving me nuts.
So they pretend to be adrift, and they're doing it next to this old Vulcan vessel that's leaking radiation, so they can't really look for the biosignatures on the Titan because of the radiation. So they're hiding all their people, and they're pretending to be adrift. They're just life support's down or barely on. So Vadic and some of her other Changeling soldiers, I guess you'd call them. I guess we've had that confirmed now. They're definitely Changelings. I thought maybe they'd end up being something else, but definitely Changelings.
I told you.
Yeah, well, that's fine. Makes more sense that way anyway, rather than just being like the Breen again or something. Or Nausicaan goons. I'm just Picard. So then Jack comes out and he's just like, hey, you got to catch me first. So they're chasing him, and then him and Sydney, they have a plan, and then they shoot some of the Changelings, and Vadic's just like, whatever, because she knows they're all fine. We think they're killing these Changelings, but they all show up later, and they're all perfectly fine.
And that's another thing about this episode that bugged me. It's like, why couldn't they have cut in some scenes with like extras and people on other decks battling the changelings so we know there's more of them? It just seemed like there was a small group of changelings. They played, you know, rat and mouse games and like caged everybody off for a bit, and then by the end of it, it's like boom, there's 50 of them on the deck all of a sudden. It's like,
No, there
really?
was
For
like
the first 2 hours.
10.
Well, I mean, there was much more on the deck all of a sudden than there was at the first like breach.
Yeah, we see her beam in with like 4 of them maybe.
Yeah.
And then there's more later. But they do say that they're on like the different decks or whatever. Somebody does say that because then they start trapping them with the force fields, which is the whole plan. Pretty fun plan. I mean, it has a couple little onions in the ointment, but
So guys, what do you think of Shaw at this point? Now, at this,
I love Shaw.
no, I do too. But sorry, this episode itself, like he sort of got pushed to the back a little bit in this episode,
Yeah,
right?
he's
He
been
accepted
benched.
it. He accepted it.
Yeah, and
He's
he's
like-
also like he's given complete control of the ship up. I mean,
She gave it up to Riker. He's like, get us out of this because you got us into it. But then Riker's gone now.
Well, he gave
Yeah.
it back to Shaw.
There goes your mic again. Yeah, man. Killing me. So Shaw, man. Like
I said, yeah,
he
he gave
he
it
was
back
still
to
great
Shaw.
in it. Like now he's just like
Oh,
he
I-
almost looks like he's
no
just
doubt.
dressing like an engineer too. He's just like kind of doesn't seem to be wearing his captain garb anymore. He said has like this leather thing on. He's
rank doesn't matter.
yeah.
He
Geordi pops comes on the ship. He's like, I'll be your number 2 engineer. I'm fine with this role now.
I
love
I
his
really
Geordi
didn't
hero
like him
worship.
in that first episode. Now I'm really liking him, and I just was actually just a little disappointed he didn't play more of a role tonight. I mean, he played a role, but it wasn't.
Beat up something good in the turbo.
He's had a rough go. He had his leg snapped, compound fracture, and now he's got this. Like he beat up tonight.
And there's something more going on with him, at least like emotionally, because like they're all getting beat up and they lose at the end, zooming ahead here. But like he's crying. The rest of them are all mad and frustrated and scared, but he's just like beat up and he's like they're crying. He's just like, what is he thinking right now, man? What a complex character. I think he's fantastic.
I agree. There's more there, and I hope they do that series with him because I want to know. I just think
We all
he's
want Star Trek Legacy.
he's
got legacy.
He's got way more baggage than you remember. Put it that way from the old episodes of Next Gen. I mean, I guess Deep Space got a little gritty, but it really
Space
carried on.
let that idea go. Like Cisco got over his whole like Picard trauma in the first episode of Deep Space Nine.
But what I'm saying, Davan, is that Next Generation they had these ideals and they stuck to them, and there was sure they got angry, but there was never any backstory about people. Like you heard a little bit about Picard and Riker here and there, but nothing.
Yeah.
And they had 7 seasons and they didn't do too much with that. But I think when you got to Deep Space, there was much. Like look at Chief O'Brien.
O'Brien gets the most.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the set lick and everything, and
not
wanting to be in Starfleet and wanting to be a cello player. Parents wanted him to be a cello player.
Yeah, there's way more there, and certainly Enterprise didn't do it. Voyager, not so much. A little bit with Maquis, but Deep Space Nine did it, and now they're doing it.
You don't think Archer's past water polo exploits are a pretty big backstory?
Yeah, they're fantastic. Shows how deep he is. Listen, Archer wanted to do one thing his whole life. There was nothing else. He idolized his father. He wanted to be a Starfleet captain. He's got it. Check those boxes. Done.
Water polo and dogs. Yes. Yeah, I love Archer, but he's actually in the last episode. His body's sitting over there at Day Street.
That's who they thought.
That's what they're really going for.
Yeah. So we did get our little Archer cameo there. Just couldn't afford Scott Bakula, so we'll just put a little image up on
So, what did
screen.
you guys think of the whole like Vatic getting caught by Beverly in Picard's scene?
Well, it's fine. They all fell for this trap, but they knew it was a trap. Like, and that's why Beverly's just like, so as soon as we let her on the ship, like now we're the trapped ones.
We
like we
invited
don't really
death
have
of the
her
ship.
trapped. Like I loved that whole scene with Beverly, and I was waiting for that because she had been kind of tossed aside for the last couple episodes, and this is a story so much revolves around her. So I'm glad we got that, and I liked her talk with Vatic. She's just like, just tell me what you want with my son, because that would drive you insane as a parent, not knowing what this is all about and why these people are after your son.
It was a
Like,
really good scene, though. Like finally we got Amanda
but it's a
Plummer to do
changeling baby,
more.
right?
Yeah, for sure.
Like he's
But
totally a changeling baby. Yeah.
at the same time, like Amanda Plummer has tapped in along the way, and now we got more out of her tonight too, which I really liked. That scene was great.
So, do you think she probably had like outside medical interference for when she was pregnant? Then,
It's not Picard's kid, I don't think.
yeah.
I mean, I guess like his DNA's there, but like
Well, what if it
I think
was
there was a
Picard's kid, but
reason
you know, like
Picard didn't know
Starfleet?
that he impregnated Beverly. It's because it's like it's all been artificially done by changelings. That's why she was just like that. Jack was never meant to be yours anyway.
So
Because they had planned him for a purpose from the very beginning.
So when was he conceived in the timeline again?
Like a couple years after, like the Nemesis.
Okay.
Yeah, they were on some vacation planet or something.
Which they've already stepped all over this season. At one point, they say he's 18, and then the next time they say he's like 22 or something in this season. So they've already like bounced it around. Yeah, they say we haven't seen Beverly in 20 years, and Jack's like 23. Yeah. So it's just like what?
I did like the fact that they sort of hinted at the possibility that like Beverly was willing to like just completely nullify Vatic. You know, she's like, I'm willing to break my oath, and I'm like, you broke your oath like in the first episode.
And so was Jean-Luc.
Yeah,
Jean-Luc just came down there to kill Vatic, basically.
Yeah.
He asked her like two questions. She's just like, yeah, she ain't answering my questions. Let's just get rid of her. Because Beverly's like, she's a threat as long as she's here. True. Because they do shoot her a bunch of times and it doesn't work. She's a changeling and she sneaks into the vent because that's what changelings do. And
so yeah, we have
we
like
still don't know who
Sydney
her
and
handler
Jack
is.
locked in. That they were locked in.
Yeah,
so we got Geordi and Lore playing owner of the computer.
Yeah. Sydney and Jack got trapped in the force fields too, between two of the changelings, so they can see. It's like a kind of an old stare down. Who's gonna shoot first? Which force field's gonna drop first? And
so
I mean, that's interesting.
Just like the Phantom Menace.
No. Not like the Phantom Menace. That dance contest they call a sword fight. Anyway.
But the where she takes her hand off and handler, as you call him, like she's first of all, he's got shows his like contempt for her. She's just a tool.
So he's probably not a changeling because they don't seem to have that contempt for each other. In fact, quite the opposite.
Yeah.
Right. So he's probably like a Pa Wraith. So Dave has a theory. Cousin Dave thinks it's Pa Wraith Ducat. But
really,
it is. That's what Dave thinks. Yeah. And the reason I don't think that is, it's because like the last time, like even a few years ago, Marco Limo's voice was just completely deteriorated from smoking. So I don't think they could have him come back on and play the role. I could be wrong, but yeah.
So what did you guys think about like Geordi trying to break through to Data's memories while Lore's just like?
Oh, that was some of the best stuff in the episode. I thought
that was my favorite part, easily.
Yeah, like Lore's pretty much taken over. It's a little predictable, but like
sure, it's predictable. But first of all, LeVar Burton did a great job in that scene.
Oh yeah, you broke me, your death, and like crazy.
Like
which explains where he's coming from and why he's so worried about his daughters and stuff. He's like, I even lost Data twice. Like, he was supposed to outlive all of us. Like, they always talked about how he was supposed to outlive them all and all this stuff. Yeah,
losing your best friends is not going to be easy.
It's funny when Data comes to though, and he's just like, Shinzon, the bird of or like the war scimitar. The scimitar.
But yeah, we forgot to talk about Laura's sarcasm though with Picard. You ancient old decrepit thing, you know.
Yeah.
Just
he keeps coming back and he's just like, God, I can't stand looking at you. You're so old. Like, Dave, you took your slides with you.
No, they're here.
No,
because you're back.
They're back with you.
Now you're back. There they are.
That's why I asked you. Do you know how to pull them up?
We do know how to pull them up, but they go with you.
So if you you click the present button.
Yeah.
And then slides.
Yep.
Slides.
Yep.
And then Picard Dominion.
Yep. Nope, don't see that because that's under your account.
Yeah, exactly.
I pulled up slides, and I could only pull up the slides from last week's episode that I brought in from the last episode.
Took it all with you.
I thought I figured
just
this all
for
out.
Big Brother.
Where were we?
No.
Well, we are.
We made it all the way. We're like halfway through
Geordi
the episode now.
Okay.
Geordi and Lore. Sydney and Jack are trapped in the force fields. And
yeah, we were just
talking about that scene there too. It's like, you're so decrepit, it's disgusting.
Yeah, is that why your face is so old? That was years ago. There's some great.
Have you look at yourself in the mirror there, buddy?
Yeah, you're right. Like 5 minutes younger, it looks like. But Laura hasn't picked up on that. Are you guys happy Laura is back? Like, is this how do you?
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like this.
See how they
Data Lore
complete the puzzle.
I always like Data and Laura to get that I can't remember the episode name, but it was fantastic. I love
Data Lore.
Data Lore. Thank you.
And Brothers as well.
Brothers was great.
Right.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know, like every time Picard starts crying over Data, I sort of like, I don't know, I'm like, pull it together.
Shut him off. It's too hard.
That's why he's like, I don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah, we
really,
see that
that's Geordi that should feel that way, not Picard.
Yeah, that's what, like even back, even when in season
Geordi.
1, where he's, like, there's a lot of stuff in that, I'm like, Picard. This is not the Picard I knew, but he's older. Geordi would be here saying he's older now. He's different. What are you gonna do? But there's a partition here between them. One side's Lore, one side's Data. This was done on purpose by one of the Soongs to try to make them more human. Like Data already had the emotion chip, and Lore was definitely emotional, like already. So plus he had Data's emotion chip that Soong had made for him, the original one that had been made for him.
Well, I think the thing that Lore has that Data doesn't have is sort of that willingness to do chaos and malevolent things, or not malevolent, but
it's not a good.
Malevolent is the good word for Lore.
Something you want to add to your
Lore, like let's say Lore had the crystalline entity. He tried to use that on the Enterprise. He destroyed the Omicron Theta colony. He and he also had all those rogue Borgs, and he was going to destroy the Federation.
He enslaved the Borg.
He enslaved the Borg. They were doing all those medical experiments on Geordi that he got Data to do with the manipulation. So Lore, a very bad guy, very bad android. But
basically the point is, to get at the core of humanity, if one wants to be human, they have to sort of have the battle of good and evil within them, and that sort of mental, like, do this, don't do that sort of nonsense, right?
Right.
I think it was more that he's trying to combine all the works of Noonien Soong Alton was.
The entire Soong family.
They weren't failures.
The line in the episode, is like they're
individually he failed.
All the centuries of the Soong families trying to get like the perfection of, like, I guess, creation or whatever. Did you guys talk about this yet? This conversation between
Yep.
Yeah, we touched.
Yeah, we were talking about how this head there, has no, like, basically there's no respect. There's just, she's a tool to him. There's a couple telling things in this.
You think it's Ducat? I told them.
You told them what I thought.
I did.
Well, there's at least I don't think I'm at least still in the realm of possibility, because he says your kind or whatever. He refers to Amanda Plummer's, like,
he's not a changeling.
He's not a changeling.
100%.
This is not a changeling 100%. We're talking to. So who is it and why? Could it be Ducat? But Ducat never met Picard or anybody like that, so it's kind of weird. But
Okay, but if it's not a changeling, how are they speaking through changeling channels?
I
No,
could,
he's just making
Space
her
magic.
speak that way.
But
like,
so.
Yeah.
But
he
he's
ain't
able
taking
to
off his hand to like do it.
He's able to like inflict pain onto Vatic here, through like this communication. And Vatic is always like really shaken after these conversations, where normally Vatic's
But
pretty
you had
put
to cut
together.
your
and
hand
calm.
off. I would be pretty shaken too, man. I don't know.
Well, and also the pain and torture that the thing was putting through. So, what about this whole Sidney LaForge and Jack Crusher thing?
Yeah, we talked about that. They didn't like it. I thought it was fine.
I liked it.
I didn't like this scene, but I did like the other scene in the hallway.
I didn't like the implications that he's all of a sudden a mind reader and then thus evolves into a telekinetic. It's just like, what, sir? What are your powers?
They have a
What's
kid.
going
Imagine
on
that
here?
Star Trek pedigree. You've got the LaForge and the Picard and Crusher families and Leah
it's-
Brahms all coming together.
I'm behind the ship, but I want it to be natural and like,
And
you know.
Beverly, don't forget Beverly.
And it's right now, it's very like awkward. It's super teen awkward with the added touch that he's like, oh, I can read your mind. It's like, well, that's just invasive.
Yeah,
You know,
touches her
you've
hand.
gone
And,
I was gonna say, you've gone to fifth base.
That
before
adds a
you help
different
him out.
element to that voice he keeps hearing, though. Now that we know he's telepathic, that could just be a local person. Like there could be somebody on the ship that he's hearing.
what's your theory about what's Jack Crusher about? What, like, Vatic has some lines in this episode about like
He's a changeling baby.
he's a changeling baby.
They forced the birth to happen. Like, were it not for the interventions of these splinter changelings, Beverly and Jean-Luc never would have had a baby.
My theory
Um,
is that Jean-Luc and Beverly did have the baby, but at some point during the pregnancy, Beverly, was injected with changeling goo or something to that degree. He's got a bit of changeling DNA in him.
That
But that doesn't make sense because
he
he
says.
hasn't really, yeah.
Well, and she
It
can't
doesn't
tell
check what
this.
Vatic
She's a
says.
doctor.
Vatic says that baby was never
Wait.
meant to be yours. They implanted that baby.
Wait,
If
I
they
know.
had previously had
I
a baby
know.
and then they intervened, she wouldn't have said it like that. Makes no
It's the
sense.
ghost. It's
Oh
the ghost
God,
powers.
please, not the ghost.
It's the
What's up, Rosa?
ghost powers that have plagued Beverly Crusher's family for eons and
Do
generations.
not let that cat
It is
Been there, Murphy.
re-manifesting in Jack.
Look,
Maybe.
I covered that on this podcast. Adam hates my changeling sex ghost theory. He hates it. Geordi doesn't really like it. They're not here for.
Look
for
at
this
those
theory,
ghostly
so
eyes.
Let's not bring it in.
Changelings don't have red eyes, so I'm still trying, and they're not telepathic. Really,
Alright.
That's what I'm
do.
saying. It's a
He
new
is
manifestation
certainly
of the
genetically
ghost.
enhanced guy. Something's happened to him.
something's different about him, right?
Yeah.
But he's special. Yeah, and like she's like, "Why'd you touch my hand?" He's like, "I don't know." She just like walks away, and she's like, he goes up to talk
Such an
to
awkward,
Picard.
like,
But in the middle of all this, he can't talk to Picard because they're there's this whole conversation that Riker's been compromised. He's probably given up the prefix code of the ship, and so they know where they are and they know where he is, and it's on the Shrike, so that they're able to figure out that they're coming to them. So that ultimately ends up being the plan here, that they kind of come to this discussion between Jack and Picard, because they say about, he's like, well, people don't want to be dying for me, and I want to have the advantage for once. And Picard's like, what if we did? And then they totally don't, which they completely get screwed over in this episode.
Yeah, you can probably zoom ahead like 40 slides because we've talked about it all.
Let me know when we.
Well, basically, we're at the point now where they're trapped in the force fields, and
Okay.
Geordi's trying to appeal to Lore to help him.
And,
yeah, that's where we're.
Yeah,
and we all agreed that was
Yeah,
LeVar's
basically-
Burton, one of his best scenes. Was
the acting. he's
Davan, what
putting
happened
forward
to the
here.
whole changelings not hurting changelings thing?
These changelings don't care.
They gave Odo a lot of shit about it.
Well, she even says that they're different. Their lives are shorter. We saw her killing her own changeling kind. So like they're like a broken group of the changelings. They seem to have a different morality.
They're the
She
Mr.
also
Meeseeks
says
of
that-
changelings.
I guess.
What they what they sacrifice to join her cause is a shorter lifespan full of like constant pain.
Constant pain. Yeah, that's what she
So
says.
she probably feels
Can
like she's
do.
putting them out of their misery as well. Like, so
Right. Right. That
they're
could be
they're weird. They're complex and sympathetic, but crazy.
Yeah.
They're a good villain. I like these rogue changelings.
I don't like the ones with the bird masks. I'm like, why do they all have to be like these
What's
masks?
the point?
What's the point of the mask?
They haven't like they don't want to settle on a final form, so they're just hiding inside their like.
Yeah, but they could show us
basically,
the
like,
gelatinous
walking
guys
containers.
then. I mean, they could just do that. That'd be fine.
Oh, thanks, Cameron, Laurie. We love you.
Oh man,
Thank
yeah,
you.
really though.
The standoff here, and then of course, yeah, we get into the part where Data and Lore transport denied. Why is it not working?
Lore. He's like, damn it. They're like, well, why would he do this? He's just like, he just loves the chaos, and he doesn't even
He
need
just
a
loves
reason.
to stir the pot.
Yeah, that tracks. That's what Lore would do.
He would do that.
that's what
He would
does.
absolutely do that.
100%.
Yeah,
He doesn't have a plan. Like, what's Lore's grand plan? Eventually, it was to like enslave the Borg to be his like mini army, but he
destroy the
doesn't really have a
Federation,
plan.
destroy all human life. I think he
Is
thought.
it? Does he said that?
Yeah, I that's what I think. Yeah, like I think he's like,
Oh.
I think he believes synthetic life is superior to organic life, and he's
Oh,
he's kind of like a malevolent character. You know, I think he would get together with those androids in season 1 of Picard and be quite happy with them, like coming through that other dimension. So you don't want to let Lore on the loose. Lore is
He's a troublemaker.
yeah,
They put him in a drawer for a reason.
right.
Yeah.
Somebody keeps opening the
My
damn
other
cupboards
nitpick,
up.
guys, is this whole like Beverly Crusher's thinking about killing Vatic, and she's
Fine
about
with
I
it.
mean,
you're fine with
This
it,
ain't your
Yeah.
grandmother's Beverly.
and clearly not.
and to
She's
be
like,
fair, she shot like 2 changelings in the first episode, so she's clearly
yeah.
broken her
Well,
oath.
one of them in self-defense. One of them was less self-defense.
It's
No.
different when
Yeah.
you just have somebody in a cage and they're deciding to just like shoot them.
But I mean, why? I mean,
Beverly.
she's definitely a threat to the ship. I mean, you're right. I mean, I don't. Is Dr. Crusher even a doctor anymore? Like,
Not for Starfleet.
I don't know if she's kept up with her license, but
yeah. I mean, I'm sure she's got the training, sure, but she's not.
Yeah.
I think she's got other priorities right now.
Mhm.
keeping Jack
God.
going. Can't lose another son, even though the other
Can't
one's
lose
not.
another
He's
son.
not really. Wesley's not dead. He's
He
just
left
not coming-
willingly.
He's not coming home for Christmas. That's for sure.
No.
He's checked out.
And we hear we also know that this conversation with Vatic and Picard is being heard on the bridge between 7 of 9 and Shaw and the rest of them, as we're kind of cutting in between here. We get all this backstory and the shots of how either Starfleet or Section 31 or some kind of version, like some evil Federation people during the Dominion War, did some pretty nasty experiments here.
Starfleet. If it was Section 31, Dave, now correct me if I'm wrong. You're the costume guy. That doctor would have been wearing a scary black lab coat.
Well, yes, that you may have a point there, but they did mention Section 31 in the last episode that this was kind of like their archive, and I was like, how does Riker or Worf knows that? Worf knew that part. I was like, how does Worf know that? And is that common knowledge? Or is that just something Worf knows? And
So these changelings basically have symbiote powers then, because like the one that's
Kind of.
Vadic's talking, she's like, I've been tortured to the point where I can now take over human beings, which she has done with this scientist.
I'm on to the second set of slides, guys. Is it this one? I think it's starting here.
200 slide livid.
Yeah. This is where.
Oh, I hated this scene so much. This scene drove me nuts.
Why?
It completely rips all of Sydney's autonomy away, and it just was like made her a
Doesn't-
puppet for Jack to be the superhero when she's a Starfleet officer, a commanding one at that. Well, not a commanding, but in command. So therefore,
an
I
ensign.
believe she should be able to defend herself, much like Mariner.
She was.
and
She
the
was.
other
She was
Starfleet
buzzed. She was fighting
officer.
and stuff.
She was, but like the big
It
boss
doesn't mean she can
battle,
take
she
a
had to be.
8-foot changeling.
mean-
Like she's not a security officer. They have minimal training unless you're in security, as far as like being able to fight.
Yeah, you're not expected necessarily to have hand-to-hand fighting.
Not an ensign.
I
That's like a
fail to
pilot.
believe that any Starfleet officer doesn't go through some sort of combat
Well,
training.
they
and
do.
with
Well,
a-
they do.
But the
Yeah,
security
so-
officers go through more of it, I guess.
Much.
Okay,
more.
so like, sure, it's some big 8-foot dude, but there's absolutely no reason why they couldn't have had Sydney take out this 8-foot dude on her own. She is clearly
right.
smart. She's a
I'm with you.
reforged daughter. She's got plot armor. She could have handled it.
She got the plot
didn't
armor.
need Jack to be like, do, dance, spin, spin, pick up, shoot, reload, pick up, shoot, reload. Like, fuck off.
He was like, roll, whatever. I think we have to get to that part because it's kind of.
I don't think she does have plot armor. I was worried she was going to die in this scene.
One
They're
thing
setting
that,
up Geordi for more loss.
Oh,
you
man.
can always say is like the Starfleet personnel in general are in fantastic shape. You know, they got holodecks on the ships to train with. They got, you know, probably their own some kind of regiment. They got great food.
Not Scotty. He's not a shit.
But if this was back on DS9, they wouldn't send Worf alone one-on-one against a changeling. Like, that was a changeling, Murphy. Like, nobody can fight a changeling one-on-one.
Well, he is a changeling, but he's kind of he's a Birdman changeling that doesn't do any cool changeling things.
Like, did they whip their arms around and become tentacle
We haven't seen any of that.
monsters?
We haven't seen like the arm whip around or like them turn into like
The arm
whatever.
whip around.
Because it's painful for them, I think, now.
Now I think that the shape-shifting abilities of these changelings, they're better at like imitating humanoids, but they're not better at doing general shape-shifting, it seems like.
They just went back into the puddle.
Yeah, this whole, like I already mentioned, I loved this Amanda Plummer kind of monologue where she's giving us all this exposition about her backstory. We find out that the torturer, Section 31, was Amanda Plummer, and you know, it was whistling. It was all, they kept whistling the Three Blind Mice.
Three blind mice.
I feel like that's gonna come back in some hindsight. Like, the whole thing is going to be like Federation and like this other thing and this other entity were like all blind to the actual enemy that was making them all dance around and whatever, you know, like that's what I feel like this is going to be some sort of hint towards the grander evil of this season. But I mean, I could be wrong.
Well, yeah, maybe. Like, I think there's perhaps more to come here. You see these horrible experiments. I'm like, this is the Federation. This is like
she's just taking a blow to it. Look, during war, they would have definitely been experimenting on their prisoner friggin'. It doesn't need to be Section 31. They did develop the disease Section 31.
This is war crimes.
You don't think they were experimenting on their prisoners of war?
This is war crimes.
Oh, you bet they were.
I don't know if you know.
Oh, you bet they were,
Dave. But we're pretty notorious for war crimes.
This is like what people don't seem to understand about Star Trek sometimes. I'm like,
but Dave, this is the problem. And the Dominion War changed that perception for me anyway.
Well,
also,
because it was
how many
brutal.
admirals have we been exposed to that would do exactly this? All it takes is one bad admiral to,
which you got 10 every
admiral, which of course there are millions of, to okay this. They'd be like, yeah, do it. Just don't tell anyone. I got it.
Star Trek is the exploration of corruption within the system.
It is. It's exploration of a lot of intelligent things. That's why it's great.
I think it sucks to realize that because that's not what you want to know. But in wartime, things change.
Gene Roddenberry would never have gone for this. I'm just saying.
He's rolling.
Would he have gone for Deep Space Nine?
I guess
he knew about it. He knew that was in development, but not like he didn't know what the whole plot of the show was going to be exactly. He just knew they were making a space station show.
He was apparently like pretty indifferent to it. He's just like, man, I don't care. Go for it.
Yeah, well, at that point, he died like the year before they went in pre-production or whatever. But we see that like here, like Amanda Plummer's whatever scientist she's playing here gets killed by Vadic. Effectively,
she
a weapon.
A symbiote. She doesn't get killed. Well, I mean, she might get killed, but like, I feel like she's just.
What do you mean? No, it's not a symbiote.
No, she killed her.
Yes,
she killed her.
Symbiotes.
A symbiote.
No, that's the symbiote situation.
She just turned it into.
No. I feel like she just took over her body.
No, Murphy. No. Murphy.
She said she became stronger. That's why she's been able to hold this form. Why the face scars? Because the face scars are supposed to represent that she's taken over the body.
Whatever. They gave them this chemical which made.
I think the scars might be a sign of her past trauma too. Like it might be a deliberate choice.
The scars are the disease. The changeling disease is still within them.
How do you know what? I didn't pick up on that.
Well, yes, that's what they said. They said they chose not to give them the cure. She says that. She's like, they chose not to give us the cure. So they still have the changeling disease.
They'd be dead by now.
And they're only not No, because they gave them this tritelium whatever, because basically they were trying to experiment to create perfect, like, secret soldiers. They wanted to eventually turn these changelings over to their side and have them sneak up on the Romulans and sneak up on the the Klingons, and like they were going to be like the shadow agents of the Federation. That's what was going on there. And then so they didn't give them the cure.
This is totally Section 31.
Well, maybe, but
because this is too evil even for Starfleet. I think it's too nefarious. This is something like not even, I don't even think the Romulans
would be all over this
shit.
To
this. Like
Pressman would do it.
Pressman maybe. He was only a rear admiral. Oh yeah, and then she turns into Jack Crusher for that one part. That really pisses up Beverly.
Or like an ass admiral.
Ass admiral, rear admiral. And then what else we got here? Yeah, it turns back into Vatic. Okay, I have a question because you know how like the ambush here, like where they apparently fought another starship that was like
pretended to,
but there was 2 ships there down in the water, or was one just
because it's a scrapyard. That's why Geordi took them there in the first place. There's leaky ships and shit floating around everywhere. Just
so that part was all fabricated. Okay,
Yeah, they fabricated the battle and they pretended to be adrift next to this leaky Vulcan battle cruiser.
Gotcha.
Because they're like then they can mask with the radiation their biosignatures.
Okay, that was hard to follow.
He's
yeah,
doing
and
good
then
plan.
this is I think we got to the part where they have this whole conversation here, where he's trying to appeal.
Stuff.
He's like trying to appeal to
the best scene in the whole episode.
Oh, absolutely.
Honestly.
Yeah,
yep.
It's Geordi's big moment here. This is where also Picard and Beverly kind of debating, like, are we losing our moral compass? Are we gonna like forget who we are and what we're about? You know, just because we're scared of Jack dying or getting abducted or whatever. You know, and Beverly doesn't know. You know, she's
like, yeah, my compass has been wonky for a few days now, or something like that.
Yeah, she's like, I've been willing to kill all these changelings for for a hot minute, especially her. You know,
especially her.
Because they're killing the Birdman changelings like nothing. Like
Jack keeps like liquefying them.
Yeah,
like he shoots to kill old Jack.
I think somebody else kills one in this episode too. I think Shaw does. Shaw kills one.
Yeah, Shaw kills one.
Point. And then a couple Starfleet guys get killed. Yeah, it's LeVar Burton, amazing, great stuff.
Amazing.
Just like give him all the rewards.
Give him.
Yep.
That man deserves them.
Because like when Data did die in Nemesis, like I felt like there wasn't enough time. There wasn't enough. Like all the characters didn't get to deal with it, and then that was the last we saw those characters for like 15 years.
They didn't have their Tasha holodeck moment.
No, like I felt like they needed, and they could have fit that in the movie. Like
they could have fit that in the movie, and it would have been actually kind of cool if they did almost the same thing. You know.
Yeah.
But the Data holodeck moment. Oh, that would have been really nice.
It would have been nice.
Yeah.
We didn't get that.
Why didn't we write that movie?
Yeah.
Well. And they could have been a little Tasha Yar hollow right next to the Data hollow.
Right.
Be like
I think we're getting a Tasha hollow or Tasha something in this season. We'll see.
Tasha hollow. Maybe, I think we might. We'll see.
Sheila?
Only 3 episodes to go.
You know what? Data is gonna look at a Tasha hollow, and that's gonna make it snap all together, and that's what like makes it whole.
Not this Geordi emotional speech.
Yeah, no, it'll be looking at his first love.
He knew Geordi way longer than
lady
he knew
to pop
Tasha
his
like for
cherry.
5 minutes. You know, but it's all about who you had sex with, I guess.
You never forget your firsts.
Yeah,
why it's all about sex ghosts.
I'm telling you, Jack is inhabited by the sex ghost of his ancestors.
Yeah, he might be. The candle.
I will bet you he isn't.
Okay. He will too.
I don't think they're going there.
It was my theory. But
it sure was, and I asked you to stop.
You did, yeah. Now Murphy's taking over.
I like this part right here where Laura's like, he says, "What do you want, Laura?"
Mounting
just
at
to
him.
survive. Just what these changelings. The changelings seem like they want to do more than survive. They want revenge.
Like this is why I say it explains the way you guys say Geordi was acting squirrely and you didn't buy his motivations and stuff. Like, this is our explanation here. He's never gotten over the loss of Data, and
he's a father now.
He doesn't want to risk his daughters at all now. It's like,
yeah, imagine having 20 years of just like no closure. That's gonna harden you. That's not gonna
Right.
make. That's not. That's gonna.
That's what he says in the
sharpen some
speech. Like
edges.
life hardly ever gives you this chance to like get a second chance to say something to somebody you never did, right? So that was really
this was
touching.
great. It was great.
Yeah, and then the hologram goes down here because of lore, and then they have to they keep trying to shoot her in goo form, but they're not very good shots.
They're not very good.
aim.
Well, they hit her.
Fast.
Yeah.
They-
They hit
There's
her
a
like
little
4 or 5
splash there. You
times.
see that?
Like right
splash?
here, I don't think Picard knows how to aim. But by the way, I hate
He's
these.
no
phasers.
Guinan. He's no Guinan when it comes.
I
to
hate
aim.
these phasers. Not the look of them, just the fact that they shoot little bolts instead of a solid beam.
Yeah, where's the beam?
How about
Give me
them
back a
just
beam
letting up-
phaser, Terry?
Their finger.
Well, I just
they
want
letting go
I
and
want
the
I
beam
want the
stops?
phaser to be a phaser, not like a
Not a blaster.
a blaster.
Yeah, it's more of a phase pistol.
It's more of a Star Wars type gun, really.
Yeah, it's like a
Um,
fucking Star Wars blaster. And what is
blaster,
this?
yeah.
Do all ships have this vent?
Yeah, they all have it in the
Well, there's
same
lots
thing.
of vents.
Yeah,
lots of
this
vents.
is where the changelings goes when they have to get up the vent, and then the hologram comes down here. Sorry, not the hologram. The force field comes down for Jack and Sydney, where they're now facing these 2 Birdman changelings, and then I think there's a force field that comes between them. I didn't pick this up on the first viewing,
Yeah.
but they're separated from each other by this force field as well, because that one
Just
works.
like the Phantom Menace.
And there's some wrestling here, some fighting. Jack's struggling with one. I felt like Sydney did hold her own with this changeling for quite a bit, on her own.
See, she was
She
holding
was
her own
on the
with many
ground and didn't know
changelings.
how to get out of the situation without
Right.
dying. So she
It was
just
a life
thought,
and death
"What do I do?"
situation. She doesn't have it's okay to get help.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
But
he kills this one.
That's very Star Trek. See, that's what it doesn't do anymore. That's what Discovery doesn't do. On Discovery, everyone has to do everything themselves like a superhero. That's not how Star Trek friggin' works. I
It's
mean,
supposed to be a team.
they made Picard they're a team, man. You use the captain rarely solves anything. The captain's just like, hey, who has the answer? Let's do that. That's
Okay, this
Star
was
Trek,
kind of
man.
brutal, I did admit, and I kind of wish she had gotten some burns on her face.
Oh
or
yeah, he
something like
smashed
this.
her face in the force field, and whatever.
Yeah, and he held it
I
there.
was just there. I thought she was dead when he did
Yeah.
that. I'm like, oh no,
Or at least
Geordi
really
doesn't
hurt,
deserve
yeah.
this.
And this is where
Yeah.
Geordi really is losing his mind. Lore, and just
He's just like, please. He's like, please,
pleads.
you
And
just help me.
Lore didn't care about much. The only thing he seemed to care about was Data, and more so Soong. I think he had, but what else? But why? Okay, so how did he?
Hold
How
off
did,
and wrong soon.
how did Jack transfer his red eye power over to Sydney?
He has
He's
telepathic
kinetic all of a
abilities.
sudden. Yeah.
No, telepathic, telekinetic.
And that makes your eyes
doing
red?
things with your mind.
I think they had
He
to
was
show
moving
it
Why
around
somehow,
not?
in his
Dave.
mind, so.
Yeah, they just had to show it. It's just a visual. Yeah.
All right.
I mean, I didn't love it. I didn't love that at all.
I was like, whatever. More
He was
Geordi
moving her
Peter.
with his mind, so telekinetic.
The whole Jack
understands.
thing is still my least favorite part of this whole season, but it's still
That
I don't
was-
find it bad.
Ah.
It's just
that
not as
was-
good as the rest of it.
I was with it up until this moment of the episode. I was like, okay, you're taking this too far. I can get visions, I can get him being a genius and all that stuff. But when he starts having superpowers, I'm like, what is this, man? Come on.
I think that's the point. They didn't tinker with a birth of Beverly just to give him a mild telepathy. He's clearly some sort of super weapon, or why would they bother?
Yeah, what it can't
they
just
created
be
a
about
super
wanting his blood. They need more than just his blood to
No,
make this copy. So
That's a new plan. The old plan was just they were creating some friggin' super weapon, I think. Unless it's all
So-
one plan, and that's cool.
So
if it
then,
is, and it all-
so then basically they're gonna turn him into some sort of giant, amplifier, mind takeover amplifier, and be like, okay, now everybody's peaceful and we're all the same one. Okay, cool. We were all following the same drum here. And he's just turned on and just controlling people. Apparently, that's their ultimate plan.
well, he didn't control Sydney, right? He was just telepathically telling her to roll and get out of the way at certain times and whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
yeah,
He wasn't mind controlling.
Well, it
Wait a second, though. When she
really
finished-
did look like she was mirroring his movements.
Yes,
Yeah,
it
she
did.
was
Yeah.
mirroring his movements.
And when she finished the fight, look at the face. What the hell did I just do?
What did you
that
just
was
do?
what I-
And
That's
she
what
pulls
I'm
she pulls the phaser on him because
Yeah,
If
he
stood
controlled
there
her
and was
body
like,
for
Duck,
sure.
look out, go out. But the moment he started being like, Duck, look out, and he started doing the movements and she mirrored him, it was some sort of magic choreographer dance.
He's got control.
or at least
I threw it out the
suggestion.
window.
Like
I was
like
out the fucking door with it. I was like, no, I don't like this. I don't. This is silly.
Hey, Jack's
just-
like,
Well, as
calm
an
down.
X-Men fan, telepathy doesn't bother me because
Yeah.
half of them have it.
Oh, well, a lot of people in Star Trek have telepathy.
Yeah.
True. Anyway, so they run off here. What's going on here?
Take this
Vatic.
over Kess's telepathy any day.
Yeah. Oh yeah, this is where Picard and Beverly figure out that isotope with the half-life of 100 years, and they can track the changelings with that. Locate on Deck 9. I'm sure that's going to come back in the episode.
Which is the thing they injected into them to stop them from dying from the changeling virus.
They call
That's
Shaw.
the-
They're like,
that's
they're
the
on
threat.
Deck 9, and then Shaw's already there on Deck 9. He didn't even need to be told. He was already there. And he shoots this changeling in the back, and then they shoot a couple of his guys. The security
His
officers.
yellow shirts. Damn it, my yellow shirts.
Yeah, well, they don't have the plot armor, so they're not making it here. He shoots this one changeling, thinks he's down. This is why they do the double tap. You know, sometimes like Beverly did in episode 1. She knew about the double tap. So
He double taps. 7 always double taps.
yeah, so
Poor Shaw getting beat up. He's just getting to turn into a punching.
Yeah, he
bag.
gets
He's
thrown into
become
this.
less of an interesting
man.
character and more of a
Amanda
punching
Plummer's
bag.
reaction where she's just like so happy to see this Birdman change, like beat up Shaw or whatever.
The reason I think that's so beautiful as well is because he just did not want anything to do with Picard and Riker for exactly this reason.
Yeah, you always get
my
people
ass
blown
kicked
up.
all the time. He's just like, and then it's all happening to him personally.
How many of
He's
Shaw's crewmen have been killed? You know, quite a few.
Oh,
I
tons.
know. He's just like,
He's had it, like I said earlier, Dave. He's got like a compound fracture of his leg. This he's had a bad.
He's
couple
had
episodes.
internal bleeding.
and they ruined his life. Like, and he knew they would. Like,
He had it
so
made, you know,
hilarious.
on the ship, just doing a little exploration.
Yeah, he's like, we go, we look at a nebula,
Yeah.
we come home. That's it, you know. None
Like
of
you
this
said,
shit.
it's been a weird week.
not like you boys.
Yeah. I think I have
Yeah, man.
where's my
I
Shaw?
love Shaw. He's the best.
I enjoy him a lot too. I was having a very nice day before all this started. He would probably say.
Oh yeah, that's a great one.
Yeah, we see the changelings come up behind 7, and then suddenly there's like a whole army more of these Birdman changelings coming in, and I guess that there's more back on the Shrike with Riker and Deanna presumably as well. So they might need Raffi and Worf to come save the day here, ultimately, because they're the only ones.
I'm
left.
down for that.
Yeah,
They're gonna show up on the Defiant.
maybe. Yeah, they can just go get it from the shipyard.
Yeah, they are.
You mean the Sao
Yeah.
Paulo? So
It's the Defiant.
they got
There
a
is no
special
Sao Paulo.
dispensation. They got a special dispensation.
Very special dispensation, straight
Yeah.
from Starfleet at
command.
HQ. Come on now.
Yeah, same guys who were creating like genocidal viruses, maybe.
Same guys.
in genetic experiments. Oh yeah,
Complete authority in these matters.
so I love this little speech where she goes, "Can you open a channel 7, please?" You know, she's like, "Hello, Titan." You know, and it was just hello. You know, I was like,
This
"Hello,
is Captain Vedic
of the USS Titan." You know, and like, and Shaw is just like, "Oh my
Hello.
god, this is the worst." He actually starts crying at one point, I think.
He does. I was talking about that earlier. Like, he's going through a lot, man. He's a complex character. The rest of them are all
Weird
just
week.
scared and angry and nervous. He's like crying.
Yeah. Yeah, this is where you said I see a tear come down. I don't think I got it on the shot, but this
Yeah,
you know,
man.
it's just
Hey,
like,
man,
In
it's-
both his eyes, he's legit crying.
Yeah, kudos to him for upside down crying.
Yeah, man.
upside down.
He's a
Yeah.
hell of an actor. Hell of an actor.
That takes a lot of work. The actor seems to be really into the role too, like off screen, it
Dude,
seems
he's
as well, and
loving
in the whole Star Trek community.
Listen,
I believe he was a Trek nerd beforehand.
It's important for you to know that I was having a nice morning before all of this.
There's that meme too, the most useless no in Starfleet history, where they're just like, "You have to help us go to the system," and he's just like, "No," and then
No.
it all goes to shit from there. It's like they steal his ship and his life is over.
No.
No, yeah, exactly. No,
He's Captain No.
No.
Yeah, he's going through it here. So we see here that at least Sydney and Jack have met up here with Picard and Crusher, but and Beverly, I guess. But Vadic's in control of the ship, of course. So I guess that's kind of where we're left here. While Vadic kind of finishes out her speech, and really creepily kind of ends it all. You know, just kind of.
I like her mankind gloves.
Yeah, like
He's
the.
obsessed with it. It's like
I
the
only
third-
need 2 fingers covered or whatever on the end of my hand.
I want to see her give somebody a mandible claw by the end of the season.
And, okay, so directed by Deborah Campier, guys, and written by Jane Maggs. I know that took us a long time to get through the shots because I left for whatever amount of time that was. So,
did you get it off your chest over there, Dave? Do you feel better?
Oh yeah, I had to tell them things. Like there was a lot. There was this guys tonight. This was big on Big Brother Canada. Like it was. I know you guys aren't necessarily fans, but it was a big night. It was not a. It was not a
ginormous Brother Canada.
Yeah, it wasn't business as usual tonight over there. It was a unique episode. The drama
was everywhere.
It goes.
The intrigue.
Do we have any kind of fun facts to speak of here?
Sorry, Dave, I did not look.
Well, we know that Michelle Hurd and Michael Dorn don't appear, and
here's a fun fact for you, Dave. Tim Russ is in 2 episodes this season.
He's coming back.
Yeah.
Well, I presume we're going to see the real Tuvok.
I'd assume so.
Torture for his Calto.
Is it 10 or 12 episodes?
10, I think.
Wow, we got 3 episodes to wrap this up. Okay.
Yeah.
The appearance
they said friggin' that Federation Day is like hours away.
Yeah, it's coming up very fast. So, and we have 3 episodes left.
That's what I'm saying.
So it'll be in like real time. It'll have to be, really.
Yeah, it'll have to be very quickly. The appearance of Changeling Tuvok was the second incarnation of a Tuvok not being Tuvok to appear, the first being Mirror Tuvok through the Licking Glass on Deep Space Nine.
And 2 Vix.
2 Vix. That might be a good exception too. Okay, guys, let's get into the ratings. We've been going for over an hour, so let's figure out how much we did or didn't like this episode. Share my screen. Here we go. Sorry.
I see you came back from vacation with my look there, Dave.
Yeah. I'm the bearded Dave.
I don't blame you. I
like it. It's a good look.
You look cunning with a beard.
We'll see if I keep it or not. Okay. So my initial gut reaction today was 7.5 on this episode. I think that the stuff with Geordi and Lore worked well. I liked Amanda Plummer, but the episode wasn't as fun for me as like last episode, So I think even though there was a lot I did like, it just didn't necessarily like blow me away. Geordi gave this an 8.5. Sorry. I feel like I'm too zoomed in. There we go.
Did like almost nothing.
Yeah, that's not enough. Okay, let's go 110. Okay, so Davan, what's your rating? 9. Okay. Adam?
I'm an 8.
8 for.
Yeah, I don't like episodes I have to go watch again to make sure I caught everything.
Yeah, it was a lot of fast dialogue, a lot of like little things here and there that you could easily miss, and I'm not sure what's significant, what's not. And Murphy,
this was like the one episode I was able to follow because I'm a morning person, and I watched it this morning instead of night. I'm always half asleep when I'm talking to you guys on here. Because you're not entertaining, fellas.
I thought it was the weakest episode, and I wasn't a fan of it, and I'm gonna give it a 4.
Oh my God, Murphy's destroying this podcast.
I'm sorry, but
Murphy, you haven't seen enough Star Trek to give this a 4.
No, I have seen enough Star Trek to understand that
you would know what a 4
you would know what a 4 is if you had seen a real 4. If you're on Enterprise,
Enterprise, yes, Enterprise will give you lots of 4s.
We've had legitimate 4s and 3s and
ban
less.
Murphy's ratings. Like,
no,
if you
it's
thought
all
the last
we're all
episode
here.
was a 10,
it's all
and this one's a 4.
But
if you thought there was
I was really disappointed. I was really disappointed with this episode. I was looking forward to this episode, considering how much I enjoyed last episode, and this episode was somewhat good for the first few minutes, and then it went downhill. And the moment Jack,
you literally said the complete
opposite
master while we were talking about the episode. You said
you mostly liked
during the Geordi lore stuff, which was at the end of the
I was
episode.
Not expecting.
I love the Geordi lore stuff. That was the only good scene. That was the only good scene. I said that several times. I said that several times. The only good scene in the episode was the Geordi scene. It was my favorite scene, and that came at the latter half. And I liked 2 scenes in the beginning, which was like Beverly when she like had Vatic like held up, and then, God, what was the other scene I liked? See, I can't even think of it because that's how forgettable this episode was. That's a whole episode. That was 2 scenes. That was probably 10 minutes each at best.
This is not a Star Trek 4. No Star Trek episode with a 4 has anything as good as that Geordi scene in it.
Wow.
A 4 is like
what's our most recent?
It's like North. No, get out of here. North Star or Minefields at least an 8.
Minefield has a 3.6 average for us, but What else?
He would love
I'm
mine.
looking at Enterprise. Oh yeah, we gave Extinction a 4
It
collectively.
loses big points for me because of the whole Jack
Yeah,
Puppet
see,
Master
Extinction is a 4.
That's a 4. Go watch that
Extinction.
and then come back to
Then come
this.
back. Then come back.
Yeah, Murphy.
And tell me
Go
how
do
you
your
feel.
homework, bud.
Or what
but-
was like Carpenter Street? That was another terrible one.
Yeah, I liked Carpenter Street, but 8.2
I'm
on
basing my
IMDb
rating
at the
completely
moment
within the
for this
capsulation
episode.
of Picard and the TNG universe.
I do
No,
it.
you're not. You've been watching early TNG. Those are 4s.
Jane Maggs also wrote episode 7 last season. It was called Monsters. That was the one with Gaius Baltar, like Picard's dad.
That was the worst one.
And we didn't like that either. We gave that a 5 collectively at the time.
Yeah, this is
So,
the weakest written episode. If you honestly look at it, there's like maybe 2 kind of story perpetuating things that happen. Everything else is a lot of filler, and it's a pretty empty episode.
No, it
You know
wasn't
what?
filler. It was
Dave-
the exact filler we needed. It gave us the backstory of the villain.
I would
In some
say.
ways,
Well,
this was the most important
could've-
episode so far.
They
We
could have
needed
given
this
the
episode,
backstory
but-
of Vadic's villain within 5 minutes, but we got a 25-minute monologue.
It was 5-minute monologue, like you just suggested.
It went on for a bit, but I was okay with it. I agree. The
Okay,
episode
maybe
is
if it was, it felt like 25 minutes.
I would say that this was the weakest episode for me since episode 2, which I didn't. But it was
was
not
2?
a bad episode. I just either, and I might come back to that scene. Okay, so guys, I think that's good, right? We've probably said what we need to say. At this
Yeah, I'll
point.
finish yelling at Murphy on Wednesday.
I don't know if we know what the
microphone
next episode name is yet. I don't think they've announced it. We've known most of them up until this point. 2370s. Yeah,
It's called Cisco.
It's called Cisco. What could that be about? It's called
Emissary.
Surrender. It's called Surrender, guys.
Never surrender.
Yeah, I was thinking of like Cheap Trick Surrender. Anyway, so guys, thanks for being with us tonight. Thanks for. Sorry for the issues with the screenshots when I left over for the Big Brother Canada.
They had us.
Canada.
We were good enough, Dave. We were good.
Yeah,
Of course you are. Of course you are. Check out all our great content here on Live Long and Podcast all the time. Mondays, we have our Star Trek Enterprise rewatch series. Check that out in our Command Division. We also have our Deep Space Nine series. We're just finishing up season 6. Next episode, Valiant. Red Squad. Thursdays, with Picard. They just announced that Star Trek Strange New Worlds is going to be coming out in June. So
Squad's a dead squad.
Red Squad, yeah. And the other great things like Star Trek Radio Theater, our science division, where Davan leads with all kinds of debates and trivia and different probes and things like that. Of
We
course,
got an all ladies debate 9 coming up.
I heard about the all ladies debate night coming up. That's exciting. We got Live Long and Podcast, Locutors of Trek, of course, with Dave and Pugsley and others who
Huxley, it's an X. It's not the Addams Family character.
Oh, I always want to say the Addams Family guy.
I know you do. I've waited until now to correct you.
Pucks. That's just how I say it. That's how we say it in Ontario. We pronounce it as a G. And then our
I just say
operations
Dave.
division. Yeah.
There's too many of those.
And most recently, we did our Star Trek Radio Theater Lower Decks read from a comic book where I got to play a Dracula in a Star Trek story. That was one thing that bothered me about the Geordi episode. Was last episode, the bounty? I was like, "Where's the Cerritos in this Fleet Museum? Where's the Protostar?" I need to, but maybe that would be too big of a spoiler for them to be present. But this is like 20 years later after those events. And then we're part of United Federation of Podcasts, all kinds of great podcasts all the time, including, Davan and Murphy are here. They got their Hold Up Movie podcast every second Wednesday. They're going to be doing the next edition based on hackers and the net and some internet-based movies.
Guns Akimbo.
Yeah, looking forward to that. You also guys, it's Davan on Fridays has the KBBBL podcast with Francis and Baker, talk about episodes of The Simpsons. Make sure to check that out. The Hellbound podcast with Michael Chan, Alex Blackburn, Wednesdays audio podcast, horror focused. X-Rated, X-Men the Animated Series review show with Davan and Andre on Tuesdays. And the Graphics Histories podcast with Andre too.
A couple more interviews coming up on the X-Men show here in coming weeks. This is what writer Len Yulee of the Nightcrawler episodes, and then we'll have the voice actor of Cable, the time traveling. No, I was gonna say assassin, but time traveling soldier of. I was gonna say Fortune, but not Fortune. I know
Cable.
Type.
I know Cable.
That guy.
Yeah.
Big metal
That
arm.
guy.
Yeah.
The Super Mater Brothers podcast, which the one I went to jump over to tonight, talking about Big Brother Canada 11, as well as Survivor season 44 on Wednesdays. Check those things out. And the Mary Mater Marvel Society, where we talk about MCU properties like Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, and in the near future, I think we'll be discussing Guardians of the Galaxy 3 when that hits theaters. So,
I had the pleasure of riding the Disney ride last week. That was fun. It was good.
Oh yeah. Was that why you couldn't make it for the podcast?
Yeah, that's right.
Like,
I got invited to go there. It was fun.
You left us for some cheap thrills, as Davan said.
I'm riding the Milano to nowhere.
And
it's the typical Disney thing. You get on the ride, and we're going to go and visit a space station, and then something happens. The Guardians have to come rescue you, and it was fun. It was
right, like that Terminator ride back in the day.
Yeah.
Okay, and then last but not least, look forward to this Saturday. Chris Murphy hosting a Trivial Debates episode focused on pro wrestling in honor of WrestleMania weekend. We got all kinds of great things. We got Jaemeel Robinson, Jason R. Phillips, and Andre Mayette competing. It's going to take down the house, guys.
Oh yeah, brother! It's gonna be a real slabanaka.
Yeah, 1:00 this Saturday. What is that? What's the actual date? April 1st. April Fool's Day, guys. Get ready for that. Okay.
Who shall be the fool?
Who shall be the fool indeed? And who shall be the winner? Jaemeel keeps hyping himself up a lot. Okay, guys. Well, I pulled a quote here, my favorite from the episode, to play us out, and we will see you next time, everybody. Live long and podcast, and here it is.
Data, I know you're in there, so I need you to listen to me because life rarely gives you second chances to say what you should. Data, you made me better. You did. You made me a better man, a better father, a better friend. And when you died, it broke me. But see, you put me back together. You repaired me. The memory of you.
Yeah. See you next time, everyone.
Okay, I'm changing it to